Hey guys, Yips here coming with another video, and this one is going to be a Soul Harvest talent discussion. And the reason I'm making this video is because a lot of Warlocks message me, a lot of Warlocks talk in the comments, and just a lot of Warlocks in general have a hard time dealing with multi-dotting and managing a lot of dots on a lot of targets, and I don't blame them. The reason why it's so hard now is because, especially with a talent like Malefic Grasp, it kind of forces Warlock to be more of a single target pumping sort of class, because you need to be channeling Drain Soul to do the vast majority of your DPS, okay? And having to be able to channel Drain Soul to do a lot of your damage, it kind of turns a lot of Warlocks off to wanting to multi-target dot. It turns them off to want to be managing that, because you just lose so much uptime on draining, you lose so much single target damage, you fall behind, and it's confusing whether you want to Agony, Siphon Life, Corruption, what you should be doing to the ads at specific situations. And not only Soul Harvest is a great talent to do more damage, it also simplifies that situation for you and probably will make it a lot easier for a lot of Warlocks that are struggling with the situation of how they should be multi-dotting, how they should be handling different situations. And I want to talk about why it makes things a lot simpler. And not only why it makes things a lot simpler, but also why it's such a powerful DPS cooldown, and why you guys really should start considering it on many boss fights in the Nighthold, okay? So, on a lot of boss fights, there's a lot of ads that spawn, and a lot of times Warlocks don't know what to do. So I think Gul'dan is a really good example of this situation, and I want to talk about Gul'dan and how you should be handling Gul'dan when running a talent like Soul Harvest, and why it just is so powerful, and why it really simplifies every situation for you, okay? So on Gul'dan, he will spawn eyes, okay? And the eyes that he spawns about, 4 or 5 eyes, and obviously Soul Harvest is a talent that benefits from ad spawning. The reason it benefits is because every time that you cast an Agony, for each Agony that you have out, it will increase the duration of Soul Harvest by 2 seconds. So if you're able to have 5 Agonies out, that's a 10% increase, or, it's basically a 60% longer Soul Harvest, which is extremely powerful. If you're able to get 25-second Soul Harvests every 2 minutes, it outweighs Siphon Life and becomes a lot more powerful, okay? So on a boss fight like Gul'dan, when all of the ad spawns, a lot of Warlocks are confused about how they should be dotting them, how they should be managing. Obviously, if your guild's struggling, that's a different situation, but a lot of the times the hunters, the mages, and the melee will be dealing with the ads, and most of the time you just want to dot them, okay? And obviously Soul Harvest simplifies that for you, because you're just going to be single targeting the boss, just maintaining your 2 dots, casting 2 UAs or 3 UAs, whichever, if you have a abundance of soul shards, doing your whole reap drain thing. But once your Soul Harvest is off cooldown, and you generally want to be saving it for when he does spawn these eyes in this ad scenario, once those eyes spawn, all you have to do is just Agony to them. You don't have to think what dots you want to put on them. All you want to do is make sure you get the maximum number of Agonies out, and then once you have all your Agonies out, just press Soul Harvest and go back to DPSing the boss. Or if you need to kill the eyes, you can go in on the eyes and be UAing them and finishing them off. But for the most part, you'll probably just go back to doing single target and killing the boss, okay? So I want to talk about why this really simplifies the multi-dotting scenario, and why also it's very good for a lot of Warlocks, okay? So obviously it simplifies the multi-dotting scenario because all you're worried about is getting your Agonies out. You don't have to worry about, should I Corruption? Should I Siphon Life? Should I do that? What should I do? You just cast Agonies to increase the duration of Soul Harvest. So it really simplifies the scenario for you, okay? But not only does it simplify the scenario for you, it brings in a lot of really good core Warlock mechanics, okay? Especially in Legion. Warlock benefits a lot from ads dying. We get Soul Flame damage, we get Wrath of Consumption, and just by picking a talent like Soul Harvest, which benefits from having more dots out on targets, it's really important to note that by casting these Agonies on the targets, not only are you directly buffing this talent, you're also proccing things like Wrath of Consumption. You're proccing things like Soul Flame, which obviously get the benefit from Soul Harvest, but Soul Harvest indirectly benefits them because it's promoting good Warlock play, okay? Also, it's a lot easier to manage because you only have 2 dots to maintain on the target, right? You only have these 2 dots to maintain on single target, so that gives you a lot of time. You don't have to be worrying about dot timers. You can just be thinking about your Soul Harvest cooldown, because you're just, you're maintaining this very basic single target rotation. Besides that, you're just saving reap for your Soul Harvest for the most part. You'll be using a little bit outside of it, but for the most part, you want to be saving your reap for the Soul Harvest duration. But on any boss fight that has ads, you're going to be thinking beforehand, okay, all I'm really going to be worried about is I'm going to be doing this single target rotation, But then when ads spawn, I'm just going to agony, a bunch of ads. I'm going to pop my soul harvest, and then I'm just going to go back to single targeting the boss with this extremely easy rotation, okay? So it really just simplifies a lot of the situations that warlocks have trouble with, and that is like, how many dots should you be maintaining? What should you be doing? Like this soul effigy, how much should you be dotting it? Really, all you can just run is this build, and it becomes a very, very simplistic scenario. So if you're not doing such great DPS with a lot of builds, and you feel like you're not doing great DPS because a lot of the warlock mechanics and a lot of the multi-dotting scenarios are really holding you down, this is a build I definitely recommend you guys trying. And now I want to talk about why it does such great DPS, okay? So now before I've talked about, like how to use it in a boss scenario, why it's so easy, and how it kind of promotes good warlock play. Now I want to talk about why it does such good damage, okay? So obviously when you're running a talent like Malefic Grasp, it increases your damage by 70% on single target, okay? So that's one damage modifier. Then you're running Contagion. This is another damage modifier. It increases the damage you deal by 18% for every target affected by your Unstable Affliction. So whatever target you have affected by Unstable Affliction, that target will take 18% more damage if it is affected by Unstable Affliction. So that's another modifier that pairs up well with Malefic Grasp, and obviously these things multiply together to become even more powerful, okay? Then you're adding Soul Harvest into the mix, which is an increase of 20% damage, okay? So you have a 70% modifier, an 18% modifier, and a 20% modifier, okay? And then obviously if you're stacking this with your Reap Souls, that's another, 15 to 20% damage modifier, okay? So basically the idea is you're just stacking all of these crazy modifiers together to do a crazy amount of damage every 2 minutes, and then outside of those 2 minutes, you're just going about the base single target rotation that you would be doing anyways, okay? But not only are you getting this 70%, 18%, 20%, and another 20% from Reap, you're also getting the Wrath of Consumption buff, which is getting doubled by Reap. So you could be doing, 200 to 300% more damage during this Soul Harvest simply because of how powerful a talent it is, okay? So a lot of boss fights, Trillax, Agony the Scrubbers, Spellblade Oriole, you can Agony all the ads. To Chondrius, you can Agony the Bloods. There's just so many bosses where you can abuse this mechanic that I really recommend a lot of you guys try it. A lot of you guys, if you're having trouble, try working this build into your play. See if it helps you out on your DPS meters. I think it might. It's very, very powerful. It sims extremely close to Siphon Life on single target. On any sort of situation where you can get a longer Soul Harvest, it actually out DPS's Siphon Life. So I recommend you guys try it. I recommend you guys put it into your gameplay, try on some bosses, let me know how it does, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.